I can't.
I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn. We are going to be having Rick Slater, who is our subject matter expert for NASA Primes, will be presenting today. This is the beginning of the engagement with the clients, where we can show you how he's going to be working with the primes from your information. He also has a gentleman who is a small business person that has been successful working with Rick and NASA Primes. Our objective is to be able to give you specific information where you can go and look at the possibility of engaging the NASA Primes. All the information we're going to show you today will be on our website. We are working with our folks within the Kansas SBDC to be able to provide what we're going to call our tech commercialization toolbox, to where everything you see today will be at your fingertips where you can get to it. That way you don't have to have an email to get there. We will be emailing you the survey as we launch this, but we're going to be linking it in such a way that you'll be able to get to all this information. We have with us today, some are economic development, some are Department of Commerce, and some of you may be from business, and then our ecosystem partners, SBDC folks from different states. Our objective is that this coming matchmaking event will be the first of an ongoing program. We do not anticipate this to be just a one-time conference. Wish it goes well, and if it doesn't, so forth and so forth. If this is an ongoing program, for those of you that have been part of our Encountering Innovation, it will be a lot like Encountering Innovation, where it is an intentional invitation to the primes, which is what Rick's job is because of his reputation, he'll be able to bring those in. And then our job is to be able to help you understand how to engage the primes in a specific way that they want. If you've attended an SBA matchmaking or some other event in the past, most of the matchmaking I have seen is really a first come, first served to hurry up and sign up for certain people. That is not the way this one's going to work. This one is different. So as Rick explains that in a few minutes, hopefully it'll make sense to you, and then you can move forward. So first thing I want to do is, Vicki, if you're taking care of all the back office stuff, I won't pay attention to it. I want to be able to share as, okay, what screen are you seeing? Somebody talk to me.
This is the SBDC.
Okay. Sometimes this is one of those times where we're recording this and talking to you live, and that little green box does not show up. So this will be interesting to see what all you see. Okay, so this is basically our point with this is we want you to know that anytime you're talking to another client or ecosystem person, whoever it is, and you're talking about the NASA Prime program, and you go, oh, I don't have any documents with me, I wish I could show you. You can. You'll be able to go to kansassbdc.net, and that's where we're at, and you just scroll down and you see tech commercialization. You click on it, you're on our tech commercialization page. We are, our fine folks at Pittsburgh State with the SBDC are doing a great job of supporting us. When you land here, what we want to be able to do is give you the tools you need at your fingertips. So if you're a client and you get here and you wish for something, write me or Vicki and tell us what you wish you could see. If you're a tech coach or a business advisor and you wish you could see something, write us and tell us. That's what this is. This is to be your tech commercialization toolbox. Bill, our SBIR and grants advisor is working to where in our SBIR STTR grants page that will be able to give you more and more information easily What we don't want to do is throw a encyclopedia of information where you have to spend hours trying to navigate. That's not the intention. For instance, our tech, we now have tech launch and learn. On this page, we'll be able to post our previous lunch and learns to where you can look at those and you see what's coming. We've told you before, one of the most important pages should be your tech commercialization. When you go there, for those that weren't here last week, we work with the Goldsmith model. It's a very simple or simplified form of looking through the steps to commercialization. Any business advisor across the country should be able to talk with any tech person in the investigation phase and really even the feasibility phase. They may not know all the parts in the technical. If that's the case, and that's what Bill is for, to engage, but our business advisor should be able to understand and talk with any of you with the market analysis, the production strategy analysis, because that's a business track and that's a market track. And so most of our tech clients tend to be very good going down the tech track, but they tend to leave the marketing, whether it's the marketing analysis or the feasibility, they tend to leave that behind. And that's what we're here for, all of us, to help you. But this is a page that you should feel comfortable, get comfortable with. Understand there, we will have buttons, but you can go to any one of these. See, my cursor changes because there is a deep dive. The Nebraska SBDC has done a very good job of doing a deep dive. So whichever step you think you're at, you should be able to click on that. And then you go to the Nebraska page and they blow up all that information on just that one step. Very good information for you, very detailed. So I'm wanting to remind you to where for our tech coaches or our you as a business that you can go through that. We will have in here, we will have the deep dive on NASA. So just one, the NASA primes, we don't have it on here yet, but just helping you to get comfortable knowing that when you get to the tech commercialization page, that information should be there. If there's something you're not seeing, like I said, give us an email and tell us what you're looking for where we can put that up. Our general commercialization lunch and learn that has been going on with Lori Piper. I think she spoke earlier while we were in the back room getting ready today. Her and Carl are doing a great job of helping us in the general commercialization and some other deep dives to assist our clients. So we're glad to have it where you can come to the tech commercialization page, and then from that you can go to the Bright Center. So if you forget how to get there, all you got to do is go to tech commercialization, and you'll be able to click on it, and you'll be able to go over there. So hopefully very simple or simplified, where you've got one tool chest to be able to get to things. Lori, I see you've unmuted. Did you want to say something right quick? Oh,
are you talking Lori Piper or Lori Moncrief?
Lori Piper.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm still muted. Thanks, Sally.
Okay. I guess that was a no. Okay. Anyway, with that in mind, we're wanting to continue to give you the idea that we're trying to simplify where you've got a tool chest to be able to work in your commercialization, whether you're a business advisor, a client, ecosystem, Department of Commerce, whoever you are. We want you to be able to feel comfortable that this is your website for that commercialization opportunity. So we're inviting you to speak up, let us know what you wish for, and then we want to keep it simple. But I see this much like the Who Moved My Cheese. I run down one hallway, I go left to right, pretty simple. That's what we're working towards. With that in mind, I do want to remind you that our objective with this program with NASA primes will be the last 2 weeks in July or the first 2 weeks in August. Rick is working with the primes to see that we can get the best representation with the primes where we can nail down a specific time. We're intending it to be 3 days in one of those weeks. So if you want to, just go ahead and pencil that in where you know what time frame we're talking about, and hopefully in the next week or so, or no longer than 2, we'll be able to give you a specific time frame as to when we'll have that available. The Lunch and Learn today is being recorded, so where you can see this again, and as we move forward and you get specific information to assist you in the capabilities and the things that we're doing to get you ready for the Primes matchmaking event. If you miss something, come here and you should be able to see that information where you can look at it again. Okay. With that in mind, hopefully I've covered everything we need to. I'd like to turn it over to Rick and let him, hopefully everyone knows Rick. Rick is the subject matter expert. He was with NASA Johnson Space Center and retired in December and has been doing a great job to get this ready. Rick, I'll turn it over to you and flip the slide deck over for you.
Okay, well, thank you, Alan. Good afternoon, everyone. We've got 2 things I'd like to cover this afternoon. One is to talk about how we want to put together the matchmaking event and get information from all of you on how we can make that successful. We've also got a guest speaker. We've got Jim Baker, who's CEO with Aeroscience and Technology Limited. And he's going to talk about what it took and what it's been taking for him to successfully work with NASA over quite a few years. In fact, as long as I was at NASA. And I've known Jim for a long time, and he's going to be a real welcome to kind of explain the do's and don'ts of trying to work with NASA. And so let me get started. If you can go to the next slide there, Alan. The goal of this segment is to really make matchmaking events in a way that they haven't been done before. And in all honesty, I participated in many matchmaking events, and we'll go through some of the details in just a minute, but I was never really that happy with the success rate of them. And so in talking with Alan, we came up with, I think, a better approach. Also to that, we have to collect information from all the clients so that when we make the matches, they end up much more effective. So let me just go over a little bit about my woes of dealing with matchmaking over the years. We found that matchmaking events, they're only effective if engineers get to talk to engineers. And that's always really difficult. And if you look at some of the pitfalls, and I'm not going to go into any detail on any of these, you can read those over. But there typically is a complete mismatch of clients' capabilities and customer needs. Typically, the way they'll do matchmaking is they'll ask who would like to talk to a prime, and the primes come to the table. Many times it's because they need to per their contract. And so we just put a lot of people together, and many times the primes are looking for certain they're looking for certain skills, and the people that are matched up with them don't have those skills, or their skills aren't mature enough to actually work with the primes. So we wanted to avoid some of those. Often matchmaking is done in 10 to 15 minutes. You're only able to introduce yourself, and unless you're really prepped and know who you're going to talk to, often that's very limiting. Engineers are also reluctant to attend these events, and that's who they really want to talk to. That's who the clients want to speak with. because that's where they're really going to make the connection. And engineers attend the events, and I've been told, and these are quotes, a quote from probably several of them. They go, they're matched up with people that they're not even interested in, and they feel it's just a waste of their time, so they just don't attend any of these events. And so typically you end up having the clients talking to the business people, and a lot of times they're the small business liaison officers, so they're not really the business people who are dealing with those types of services or products. So one of the things that we have to do, and this is the first step to that, is we've got to create a matrix, and we've got to have enough information so that when we send those to the primes, they can go down, they can look for the information that the skills that they're really trying to find, and decide whether or not they want to speak with someone. And to that, what we plan to do is take the matrix, and we're going to kind of spoon feed you through the matrix so that it's good marketing. So you have the right words in there so it will resonate with the primes. And then the way we'll work it is the primes will decide who they want to talk to. They get to choose. And the reason that we're doing this is going back to talking to the engineers. They said, if you can give me a matrix that's easy to get through, and I can find companies that really resonate with what I'm doing, I will come to the matchmaking and I'll spend time to talk to them. I also said, all right, but we have to have this thing be at least 30 minutes or there's just no way that you can really connect. The engineers loved it. They said, if we can choose who we're going to speak to, and we've got 30 minutes with them, and we'll have the engineer on the other side who can answer our questions, then it's worth our time. We will come to it. Now, as part of that, I need to have a capability list or a vendor capability list of 200 to 300 innovators for them to select to. I can't have 20 or 30, or we'll do it once. It'll be small, and it'll be good, but we probably won't get them back again. So I've got to have a fairly robust capability list. So the whole idea, and we're going to talk about what that capability matrix is going to look like in a minute, but we create the matrix, we get it out to the primes, they take a look at it, they choose who they want to talk to. Now, I've got one really large prime who has told me that they've got 3 or 4 really large multi-billion-dollar contracts that they're going to start proposing on in the next couple of months. And they said, you get that capability list, get it to us, we will send it to the engineers who are on the procurements who have to find subcontractors. We'll contact them ourselves, you just give us the list. So one of the other things we'll use the list for is to just send to the primes, and then they can just send it to their engineers. So it may not always be through a matchmaking program, but your name may get out there because they're looking for subcontractors, or they're just in general looking for some capabilities. At the same time, we're going to send these to all the other small businesses, because one of the things that's really important is a lot of, on some of the smaller procurements, and I say smaller, say 50 million over a 5-year period, maybe 10 million on some of the service contracts, to some of the smaller products, you've got the small businesses beating the large primes probably 50 to 70% of the time on some of those products. But the small businesses also have to have people to partner with. So we're going to make this matrix available to everyone who submits, into the capability matrix. So that's how we plan to use it. We're not sure what's gonna work better than something else. So we will just keep pinging, and hopefully over the summer, and certainly during the July event, we'll be able to make some real headway, and you'll be able to make some connections. And so with that, can you put up the Excel? And this is not what you'll fill out. We're putting that together and going to have to test it over the next week. But I wanted to just give you an idea of some of the information that's going to go in there. And I need to introduce the NASA taxonomy. And I'll do that right after I go through this. Basically, what we're asking for, and I'll just say the NASA taxonomy now, and I'll introduce it in a few minutes. We're looking at 2 categories out of the taxonomy. There'll be drop downs, and you'll be able to choose something that you do. It could be robotics, it could be propulsion. And when you put those in there, it makes it very easy for some of the NASA primes to be able to find out, is it something that they do, and they know what they do, so they'll be able to grab it. At the same time, some people won't fit perfectly into that taxonomy. Machine shops, reverse engineering, 3D printing, engineering projects, and circuit board manufacturing. Those are the prime ones. Although if there's somebody out there that feels that what they do is also you just didn't cover it, let me know. We may go ahead and just add it to the list. We'll ask for client information. We're going to ask for past performance during the last 3 to 5 years, what kind of contracts, and just with very rudimentary information. We built this type of a device for these folks. Also, current contracts, who with, and general statement on a product or service. And I'll say this now, there's a lot of folks who are not going to want to give a lot of information because they just don't want to let everybody know that, you know, they're doing business with this customer and producing this type of product. And to that, I say, don't put it in if you think you're going to lose business. But at the same time, if there's a way that you can at least tell them, hey, we do this type of thing. We've done it for several different, we've had clients who have requested this. Just kind of generalize it, because you're trying to make it so that the engineer sees those buzzwords and those keywords so that they're going to be interested to talk to you. At the same time, we've got a general overview, and in the general overview, we're going to say about 250 words. Put in what you did, how you did it. Don't put any proprietary stuff. Don't put any secret stuff in or anything like that. But you want just sort of a general overview, so those buzzwords and everything are in there. And so now, can you go over to the taxonomy, and then we'll go back to this and we'll finish up this in a minute. Okay. And this is a very long document, and let me just try to summarize it. There's 17 major categories in the NASA technology taxonomy. And what the Chief Technologist Office has done over the years, and this is the 2020 one that we're looking at here, they have looked at all the different aspects of flying spacecraft, and there are a good deal. Yeah, and I'm getting something from Lori here. I apologize. All I could find was a small, a very small, low-res version of this. So when you go to it, you'll be able to see it. I don't know, Alan, maybe you can make it just a little bigger. Okay, that's a little better anyway. But at any rate, what you've got, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, you can go down through the document. You can go back to the other thing. That's okay. At any rate, the first one is propulsion systems. And if you could go to that same thing you had up just a minute ago. Okay, there we go. So propulsion systems, there's 4 different aspects of that that they're looking for new technology in these areas. They've already doing the old technology, but they're looking for any kind of new innovative work, or people who have a lot of experience in doing this. That's where the work is really going to be. So in propulsion systems, you've got 4 different categories. If you read down through the document, and it's not that hard, there's a table of contents that gets you there fairly quickly. We won't go through that now. Find yourself in there, and when you fill out the matrix, you'll put the 1.1 chemical space propulsion. You'll put that in as maybe category 1, and maybe advanced propulsion as category 2. So that's what the taxonomy is. So you have to go through the document, find yourself, and then those are the 2 categories that you'll actually put in there. So unless there's any questions, and we'll do that at the end, I want to go back to the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, and so here, when we get to the general overview and the past performance and the current contracts, it's really important to put things that are going to resonate with the primes. And so I'm going to ask Jim Baker, but I'm going to introduce Jim here real quick, and then we'll be moving on to his section in just a minute. But let me introduce Jim Baker, because I'm going to ask him to comment on those last couple of boxes. Jim Baker is the president and founder of Aeroscience and Technology, launched in 2012. Jim has been a space systems engineer since 1989. He started his career working on the International Space Station at Boeing, working on the Space Shuttle Space Lab program at Lockheed Martin, and led the Advanced Programs Group at Spacehab, one of the early pioneers in commercial spaceflight. In 2012, Jim founded Aero, whose first mission was to provide technical services to human spaceflight prime contractors. In 2016, he expanded their offering to include hardware fabrication and assembly. To date, Aero has provided significant hardware components to Northrop Grumman, Cygnus program, NanoRacks commercial spaceflight systems, and Leidos hardware resupply items in support of their NASA cargo mission contract. He's located here in League City, Texas, which is probably about 5 or 6 miles from NASA Johnson Space Center here in Houston. Aero's manufacturing capabilities is 3, 4, and 5-axis machining, CNC lathe capabilities, and CNC coordinate measuring machine capabilities. And so with that, Jim, could you just give us your idea on how you would fill this thing out? And you can go back to the Excel.
Right. So thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. And one of the things that I think is important when you look at that taxonomy is one of the things we have seen, or I've seen in the small business community, is that some folks want to be anything you need. What do you do? Well, we do anything you need. Well, that's definitely the wrong way to approach the taxonomy. For an effective approach at getting into primes, it's like, what do you do? What do you do very well? And we are able to identify that. I think on the taxonomy, I think it's 12, 13, and 15 are the general areas that we fit in the best when it comes to the manufacturing products and services that we develop here. So when you go about doing that, well, I think what really gains traction when when somebody's looking at and go, oh, I want to meet with Arrow. Is it really, to me, it comes down to two things, Rick. One is, do I have the capability to do that element within the taxonomy? And then every bit as important as that is the past performance. And so on number 12, which is the structures and mechanical systems part, you mentioned that we at Arrow, we've got 3, 4, and 5 axis CNC capability and CNC lathes. And you put that down as the capability portion of what you're trying to get them to see that you have. But as important as that, every bit as important as that is what you alluded to a minute ago, which is the past performance. What have you done with that capability? Because League City, NASA Johnson Space Center, all of this is right outside of Houston, Texas, and there are hundreds of machine shops that have 3, 4, and 5 axis milling capability, that have CNC lathes, and that have CMM machines that they use for validating, doing dimensional inspections and things like that. But just because they have that capability doesn't mean they want to use them. You have that capability and you know how to use it for that part of the taxonomy that you're claiming expertise on, is every bit as important to them as just having that capability, because you've got to convince them that you can do what they're looking for with what you have.
Okay, well, thanks, Jim. And
Yep.
Can we go to Jim's PowerPoint page? In fact, just go to the next one. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I was just going to point out, if anyone has any questions, because I know this is pretty short to cover a lot of material, I've got an email here, and we can certainly set up a time to talk it through, or if you have a quick question, just go ahead and email me and I'll respond back to you. And with that, Jim, why don't you take it away?
Okay, so one of the things Rick asked me to do was talk a little bit about how it is that Arrow Science and Technology, got going in business, and one of the things that you see probably, and we see down here, is there are a lot of small businesses that are coming up. They want to do business with NASA, but they just never seem to get that traction. And so Rick asked me to put some thoughts together on, well, Jim, how did you do it? And what are the lessons learned that I could share with you guys? And so I start off, by saying, this is probably what you hear a lot, is you go to the small business lunch and learn, the industry meetings where the small business rep for your area says, okay, this is what you got to do. You got to get registered in SAM. You got to go to those large businesses and meet their small business liaison, and then get that capability statement, crisp and concise, and keep it current, and be ready with your elevator speech if you get the opportunity. And we all do all those things, and then nothing happens. I have my company capability submitted with all kinds of large businesses, and I've never gotten an email, had the phone ring, anything like that. And so what I started to learn, well, not that it came after that, but I had a lot of business development activities going on. This was a part of it, but this was not getting me any traction at all. And when I was at SpaceHab, I was in the advanced. Well, let me back up. When I was at Boeing working on Space Station, I was a mid-level engineer. I didn't know where the people who were providing the products and services that we were subcontracting out, I didn't know where that was coming from. But later on in my career, when I was heading up the advanced programs group, you quickly get from one end of the pendulum of not knowing anybody to quickly being overrun by small businesses. who want an hour of your time. And so that's why these SBL, small business liaison, offices are set up at the big companies, and it's kind of the buffer, if you will, us small businesses when we're coming to them. And it was a real head scratcher for quite a while as to how do I crack through? How do I get around the gatekeeper? How do I get there? Well, it turned out that my most successful business development activity was really with the people that I knew, and it comes down to really having a relationship, not with the small business liaison, but with the right person. And Rick talked about the difference he wants with his lunch and learn is to get the engineers talking to the engineers. And as the founder of the company, I'm not a machinist that started a machine shop. I'm an engineer that provides spaceflight hardware, and manufacturing is part of it. And the nice thing about being older, I guess I'll say less hair, gray hair, is that my peers, when I was working at Boeing and when I was working at Lockheed, then are now program managers and lead engineers for groups, and they're in the they're in the management positions at some of the bigger companies that I've worked on in the past. And so being on that vendor list and hoping that the procurement organization is going to give you a shot, that is such, there's probably some success stories out there that's the way it worked for somebody. But I don't have any of those stories at all. Really for me, what it was me knowing the guy that was in charge of, in fact, the picture that I have on this graphic here is the NanoRacks commercial airlock, which is on space station right now. And, I knew the guys that were involved in that, and they knew me, and not because of any business development, but just because we know each other. And so, and we have for years, and they knew when it was time to get some flight hardware made that they could come to me. They've got a vendor list where if they need to go out and get, three bids, they've got a vendor list with 50 people that could do it. And they're not going to go to all 50 people. They're going to go to the 3 that they feel comfortable with. And so you getting in there through that relationship is going to be important. I know with several of our large activities, we didn't land a big ginormous contract on day one. They were like, okay, well let's give you this job and see how it goes. And if it goes well, then I can keep bringing you on for additional activities. And so, the confidence building project that they give you, that first PO, that's going to be critical, that you do it and that you do it well, and then maintain basically having a good reputation for being able to do what you need to do. A lot of that comes down to the fact that I really understand the business that we're in down here with human space flight. Being an engineer on the space station program, being an engineer on the shuttle program, it's certainly about schedules, but it's also about understanding what the quality infrastructure is going to require. And the interesting thing about that, knowing what kind of acceptance data packages these guys need, there was an interesting event that happened several years ago. I was on the Small Business Council here at NASA Johnson Space Center, and Rick was the NASA rep on that. And he comes by and says, hey, I want to do this manufacturing industry day so that the NASA engineers can meet, the people who provide fabrication and assembly manufacturing services. And it was going to be a joint NASA Small Business Council event. And me being the Small Business Council guy that owned a manufacturing capability, Rick says, you want to help me organize that? And I'm like, you want me to help bring in all my competitors to convince NASA that, that they need to use these guys? And I thought about it for a minute, and I ended up saying yes because I knew that we know what we're doing here, and we do it very well. And I also knew that there's a lot of machine shops that come to NASA that even though they have the 3 and the 4 and the 5 axis milling capabilities and CNC lathes and all that other good stuff, that ultimately that we can deliver a really quality product. So I got into a cooperative mind frame with Rick and with NASA, and I think that continues to be an element of our products and services is that we'll sit down and we'll help them understand, hey, what's the best way to manufacture this thing? And so maintaining that reputation of knowing what you're doing and having demonstrated that through the confidence building project that or initial PO or whatever it is that helps them see that you know what you're talking about. That's kind of key. And then once you get your foot in the door, my next little set of slides here is keeping that fire stoked and keeping it going, and again, the confidence is a big thing. The other thing that we have experienced is with some of the competitors to the people that we're providing hardware to. Not a lot of people want to be first. That's where you have to have a good relationship with the right person to say, okay, here, I think you guys can do what we need. Here's your shot at it. But once that snowball really kind of goes over the edge, it can pick up some momentum. And I've actually seen a couple of situations where people are going, oh, you do stuff for Northrop Grumman? We need something very similar. And I've had a much easier time getting sometimes that contract with my customer's competitor than I did initially getting it with them. And then the other thing that we saw that was very helpful was when we did do that small business, that manufacturing event here at NASA JSC with Rick. We had a good situation here where one engineer in the Crew and Thermal Systems division, they're the guys that do the space suits and the environmental control systems for space and all that. One of the guys gave me a shot, said, hey, can you make it? It was a pretty small, we were responsive, we turned it around, we got it done right. And then he spread the word. I mean, he was our, it was free marketing. He said, hey, you need, the engineers over at NASA, they'll sit in offices with, 4 or 6 other engineers. And, one guy sitting in the office going, I need somebody to make this and I need it by, the end of the month. And Sean pipes up, says, hey, the guys at Aero down on Highway 96, they did this thing for me and knocked it right out. So, that started spreading throughout the whole building. And that beats anything that I could ever do in terms of advertising or, all of that good stuff. You can't not register in SAM and meet with those people and have your capability statement, but man, that's just not going to be the key thing that gets you the business. It's going to be the relationships. And then the last thing I want to note here is you don't get to drop the ball. This is a tough gig. And I kind of put it in big letters at the very bottom, which is it's really hard. I should amend this a little bit. I mean, you can get on the supplier list, you submit your information and all that. I should say it's hard to get to be one of the go-to people on that supplier list, but it is very, very easy to get booted off there, and they start looking for somebody else. So keep that in mind when you start doing that. You've got to perform and you got to deliver, and that's critical. So that's the way we've done it at Aero. It took a little while to really get the momentum going, but man, once you start getting to be known as the guys that can get the job done, it comes to you.
Okay.
Rick, what do you want to do? Question? I don't know what you want to do now. I'm here for questions.
Well, actually, I was just Yeah, I was just going to say, does anyone have any questions for Jim?
Yeah, I have a question, if I may. My name is Frank Corriego. I'm in the Wichita State University SBDC.
Hi, Frank.
Hello, Jim and Richard. Thank you for this time for us. I don't know if you know, but Wichita has a boatload of machine shops as well. And like you said, different capabilities, different machines, fuselage, mainly for airplanes. A couple of my clients work with NASA and SpaceX, but it's really manufacturing. And I appreciate what you said, because I came over thinking that it was innovation to work with NASA, but this is really standard small businesses that can work with NASA. Then this is not just innovation, new stuff, really teeny tiny businesses of 2 or 3 people that are creating stuff, but you're talking about established businesses in the mainstream, like machine shops. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. We're not doing anything groundbreaking here in terms of creating some new way of doing additive manufacturing or anything like that. I mean, you can go out and you can buy those machines. We're not on the leading edge of some super composite.
So this event in July, it will be for businesses that are in that space, whatever matches the taxonomy, right? Rich, that's the word.
Yeah,
and,
I think the best way to put it is we can't limit this to just the extreme R&D innovators, because the folks like Jim, they're the ones who actually make it work. And your large primes are looking for innovators. They're also looking for folks that can make products, and they can work with the large primes. They know how to do it. They've got, experience in it. And so it's both. So we're going to try to cover both sides.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to take a lot of time, but going back to Jim, what you're saying, Jim, is, okay, these are normal guys that have years of experience in these elements that are outlined in the taxonomy and then in the matrix. So that makes it a lot simpler, because we're not looking for how we're going to commercialize innovation, but how we're just going to get some of our regular clients working on these things. Thank you. Frank, that changes my view of what's happening here, because I came with a whole different view. So this is very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, Frank, that's a good point. Not everything NASA needs is R&D. That's important to, you look at 1.1 on the taxonomy, and it's chemical propulsion or something like that. Look at that whole taxonomy, because
So if I have guys that are already working with you, with NASA or with SpaceX, are pretty good candidates to get into this process.
Correct. Yeah.
They're just machine shops, very, very sophisticated, but they're just machine shops. I mean, this is a completely different thing than what we do at Encounter Innovation. So this is helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I got to say, Frank, you're making me smile. This is exactly why I've been trying to bang the gong, trying to help people understand that if you'll just give it a chance, you'll realize there's a great opportunity here. And much of the Midwest, we have a connection with aerospace, but beyond that aerospace, we tend to the light goes dark very quickly, and haven't realized that NASA has a great opportunity if we'll plug in. Our best chance with and I'm going to steal Jim's thunder or borrow it, is the relationship building he's talking about. It starts with Rick, because Rick's got a reputation with the primes that we do not have right now. We're going to draft off of Rick, but just like Encountering Innovation that you referred to, our highest priority will be pleasing the primes. We will make it as good as we can to where they'll be able to see a large volume, but it will be very effective. If somebody only wants to see 5, we're not going to shove 30 through there. That's what I was talking about. When you go see some of these, not lunch, the matchmaking, you see people sitting here and they're going, and you can tell they're tired. They're like, okay, who's coming next? These will be people that have said, I want to see these people. And so using Rick and then Jim the same way. The question I've got for you, Jim, is whenever, when we do the matchmaking, what's a suggestion you have for our clients beyond that encounter? How do they get to where they can start that relationship?
So, man, that is exactly the right question, because I've been on both sides of the table on the matchmaking, and let me tell you, when I'll just go back to when I was at Space Habit ADP, and I was the guy looking for subs, not being the sub trying to get the business, but I'd attend one of these things, and at the end of the day, I had 15 business cards in my hand. I can't remember, all the capabilities were very similar because I was looking for essentially the same kind of thing. And so your relationship cannot end there. You've got to find a way to get them to your facility, to walk them through. One of my biggest advantages is I am 15 minutes from the front gate at NASA Johnson Space Center, closer to a lot of the other prime contractors and things like that. And when somebody comes walking through my facility, they remember what Arrow's got, where they're located, what the capacity is, and then they've got another 8 business cards that they picked up from other machine shops that want to be involved in aerospace in the Houston area, and they can't necessarily remember those guys. So I can't stress the relationship enough. And again, the relationship with the right people, the people whose hardware is going to be in my facility. Those are the people that I need to have that relationship with. I do open houses. Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
I was just going to say one more thing, and this is for the SBDC, and I don't want to make it all about us. I see their clients, there are other folks in here, but Alan, you said something very interesting, and I think I got to say this. You said the number one goal is to please the primes, and I think that's okay for the tech center. I think based on creating those relationships, that's okay. As a consultant or as an advisor, whatever my title is nowadays, my priority is to please my client and to reach my goals for the center. So maybe this is something where we need to work as we go forward and try to work with the tech center as the connection with Rick and with Jim in order to please who you need to please and to please who we need to please. Because I'm going to have a hard time making that my priority, but no Frank, for you. So I think we can work together. That's all I was going to say.
Totally agree with you. Our point is, because the reason why we're here talking about this is because our number one priority with Encountering Innovation was to make sure that we pleased the tech scouts. We now have a reputation where we're moving forward and we're engaging our clients better and better in that same fashion. That's why we want our tech coaches or our business advisors here. And I spoke with Craig Van Way earlier. We're going to be working with the regionals, with the Department of Commerce the same way, because there's so much opportunity with our advanced manufacturing in Kansas and the surrounding states, that what we're going to do is make sure that when we have that matchmaking, that it's very effective for the primes, for the engineers. When we do that, the engineers trust that we will make this work for them. Whenever it does, then when your client gets an invitation, they need to focus that this is a really good opportunity. It's not your typical matchmaking where we just shove a bunch of people in the same room. And I'm not taking away from that, because if you can strike a good relationship, that's great. But just like Jim and Rick have both referred to, if we're going to make matchmaking work, we've got to step up to a better level. And where you and the other tech coaches come in is helping our clients understand how to engage when they have that opportunity. We're going to go further with this. I know we're close to the 1 o'clock hour. I want to make sure that we say a couple of things. What we're doing today is the beginning of this program moving forward. We're going to have, beyond the lunch and learn, we will have continued capability statement prep. We will have the documents that you've got to have whenever you're in front of them. We'll have more training with this. Jim, I would love to have you back if you're willing to. One of the questions I've gotten, I know as we run close, I want to close the recording and we can continue to talk if you want. But one of my questions is, as knowing some of the machine shops here in the Wichita area and having had some clients, they don't always do all the work themselves because they can't, they have time where the work, it goes beyond their own scope. Do you have that same experience? And then if so, would you be willing to be looking at our client base as well?
Yeah, I've got the same situation here. I don't do everything across the manufacturing spectrum. I don't have EDM capability here, so I have to sub that out. And a lot of my clients want a turnkey product, and a lot of times that means it can be an item that we manufacture. We send it out for anodize or Aladyne or Kim film. We install helicoils, and then and then we hand them back the fully compliant part. It's not just hogging out a piece of an aluminum into a shape that they want. It can go beyond that. And so, as a provider of not just machine metal parts, but solutions, that's what we do, and that's what they trust us for, that we take care of it, and all that good stuff. So yeah, having subs and having that ecosystem, if you will, to get the full part done the whole way you need it, that's important.
Excellent. Well, that's exciting, because I think then as we do an outreach and try to get more of the specific clients back in a conversation like this, I would love to have the meet and greet in the same way, to where we can exercise some of those encounters, how they need to be whenever they're meeting with folks like you or whoever it is, the primes.
Alan.
Yes.
I'm wondering if I can get some clarification here. I mean, when I'm listening to Jim and Richard, it appears to me that they're referring to extremely solid existing manufacturing capability for technology that, while it is amazing technology, it has been established. So would I be correct in stating that there's two different kind of avenues that, or there's probably more, but avenues that these primes need to be approached on? So these are solid, this is solid manufacturing capabilities, and it's amazing. But what about the technology transfer of cutting edge technology that, the inventor just can't wait to get into the hands of the warfighter? What about the new stuff that we need to get on top of for our near peer, in the eventuality of conflict with near peer adversaries that are, that we need to grab hold of now? That appears to me that would be a separate avenue. Is that
Michael,
correct? I mean, it doesn't seem to me that the same people would handle both.
And you're right. It is a different avenue, and it's a different set of folks. And at NASA, it really goes into the chief technologist office, and we're beginning to having some discussions. I'm having it sort of the lower level folks that I've known for a long time. And so we're getting ready to have some of those discussions with them. That's
Rick,
the
this is Jim. Can I
energy
say
that's gonna
something?
bring- Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, you're right about that. But the key thing I want to point out to Michael is that while the approach may be, or I should say, while the arena is a little different, established manufacturing versus cutting edge technology, the process is still the same. I mean, there's a lot, just like there's a lot of machine shops out there. There's also a lot of technologies being developed for that us innovators out there, and we do some R&D type things here as well. We don't, manufacturing parts is not our only gig, but it's very similar. You got to find out who the right guy is that's going to be interested in your technology, and strike up that relationship. And if you meet them at a lunch and learn because they've matched up your taxonomy, great. But you got to go beyond that. You got to continue the relationship. You got to tell them. You got to show them what it is that you have that is similar to what they need and how they can get that. And I will say I've seen an issue in the past where one of my guys that I used to work with, he was good at this. He would have a great idea and he just couldn't understand why nobody could get behind it. Well, it wasn't what they were looking for, and so you got to make sure that you're finding that right guy. But Michael, I would say that the approach is the same, even though your arena is a little different.
I want to.
Sorry about that, Alan. I was just going to say NASA iTech is the program that ties directly to innovation in tech, and it's operated out of NASA headquarters. We had Kira Blackwell on one of our lunch and learns, but she recently left. She's working on a different NASA program, but if you look up NASA iTech, I think they're creating it, although they might have changed the name of it. And again, I was connected to the last program that was led by a different individual, and they transitioned out fairly recently. So Google NASA iTech and see who that is would be my suggestion for your stuff, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, so there's a couple of avenues to your question, Michael, and to what Lori's talking about. One of the other ways that we've looked at this is through the Rick. I hope I'm saying it right. The joint counseling sessions.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
Because Michael, I asked that very question. I said, so this kind of ties back into what Frank said earlier. So helping everyone understand what we're about to do is the beginning of an ongoing program. This is not a one-time conference that we just hope goes well. We intend for Rick, and so just being totally transparent, we intend and hope that Rick continues to work with us for several years, not just during this COVID CARES Act funding opportunity for us. And one of the deliverables is the monthly joint counseling sessions. These were what he was doing before, that he was batting 1,000 on, where everyone was getting contracts. One of the things I asked was, can we present a client that is innovation, but does not have a history of manufacturing? Are they still a desirable solution? And Rick says, yes, absolutely. So you're right. What we're focusing on right now in the matchmaking is much more advanced manufacturing or established manufacturing, which is where the epiphany or the light bulb goes off on Frank going, this is not what I was thinking. And I'm glad he caught that, because that was exactly what we were hoping for. But at the same time, once we establish a reputation, we're drafting off Rick right now. But once we establish a reputation with the primes, then the joint counseling sessions start to kick in. And then as they see that we're bringing clients to them, solutions to them, we get the primes to sit down. And whenever Rick presents 2 clients a month, what happens is 12 to 15 primes are sitting in the council to look at that. And so we will be able to weave the innovation back into this as well. Rick, is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Cool. So I hope I think it was a great question. It ties both the innovation side of this as well as the manufacturing. You may be the guy that's going to bring an innovation and you may bring the manufacturing with it, or you may have the innovation and you're struggling for how to ramp this up for manufacturing. And so we may find and connect two of you together in order for that solution to be what the prime needs. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does to me.
Cool. Cool. I know we're in overtime, so we're now into what I'm going to say the formal informal is where we can network. So I would love to have everybody be able to speak up, give us an idea what you're thinking, and give a big round of applause to Jim for being our poster child for the day. Jim, I'm so glad you were able to join us. This is what we hope to do with each of these as we go forward, is that we bring a real life success story or an ongoing shaggy dog story to the event, to where people can understand what the possibilities are.
Thanks for having me, Alan. And I'm always happy to answer any questions if anybody wants to reach out.
Cool. Well, I'm opening it up to everyone, whoever would like to speak. I see folks from Texas, and I noticed some from several Oklahoma, as well as Justin.
Yes. Justin Pippins here from Springfield, Missouri.
Very good. Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah, I love what I'm hearing. I love what's going on. I attended one of your lunch and learns. I'm not sure if it was last Friday or 2 Fridays ago, but very informative. I love the ecosystem building that you're trying to do. It sounds like you're really trying to break things down and what you have coming. So great presentation today, and I will be back.
Good. Thanks, Justin.